Eddie, how did you come into real estate? How did that come about in your life?
Well, my dad ended up getting into the business a little bit. Met a lady, and they decided to open up the title company. And basically, at a very young age, I basically just hung out in the office and just watched investors and people doing this. By the time I was 18 years old, I said, this is what I want to do. This is where it's at. And so at 18 years old, I got my real estate license. At 19, I got my broker's license. Put myself through college working at Home Depot, and by the age of 25, got my Class A contractor's license, mortgage broker's license. And by the time I was 27, I was able to luckily own about over 100 units, where I had over 100 people pay me rent. And that's what got me started and learning it. Once you start having the property, that's when you start really learning a lot. And after been doing that now for about 30 years, it's a lot to learn, a lot to do. It's always changing, and you have to keep going with it. So you're always constantly learning.
You said that when you were 27, that you already were a property owner. Did it come always that easy for you, or did you have a hard time?
You got to understand, I bought them all with no money. You didn't need money at the time. To be an investor, you have to have something to invest. And what I had to invest was a lot of knowledge, a lot of tricks of the trade, and a lot of hard work. And so I believed in myself, and I believed in the areas, and I believed in the properties that I was choosing, and I took risk, and I went ahead and went out there and was able to creatively maybe buy a property and walk away with money, to rehab it, to fix it up, and just fix them up and rent them out for a while. Then realized that sometimes dealing with the tenants was a little difficult, so I ended up selling the property and making a nice profit. And then said, you know what, let's go do it again. What else is there to do? And I went and did it again and just kept on buying and renting out and managing. And before you knew it, some of the properties started changing and going up a lot in value. And what kind of work can you really do, in your hands, and get out there and go do it? And then eventually you put $1 million or a few $1 million cash in your bank. That's incredible. And that's what real estate allows you to happen.
Has it changed? Can you still do today what you did back then?
There's always a deal. There's no better time than now in the present to get into the business, and you just need to learn. Now, is there some markets harder to play, like the Tampa Bay market right now? It's much harder to play today. But there's other markets across this country that they're giving away properties that will definitely cash flow, and you could definitely sell for a huge profit. So sometimes you got to go where the market's at or the money's at.
So that in today's real estate world, you're saying that we can go beyond just Tampa, Florida. In the nation, we can go around and probably pick good deals. Do you find that the laws or anything would be a little bit different, or is it pretty much kind of the same philosophy type thing if you just bought somewhere else in another state?
If you try to look at probably different countries, there probably always be some issues. But when you look in the same, the same country, just a different state, I think it's very, very similar. And I'm sure there's some differences, but you understand in real estate, it's not just what you know, it's also who you know and what experiences you have and how much you've really done your homework and research. So there's a lot of components, to it. And, here in Tampa, I've been doing it for over 30 years, so it's not a person I don't really know in the business or in the bureaucracies of code enforcement or construction service centers or zoning or this or that, to get things done much smoother and faster. But also Tampa's changing, it's becoming a big, big city, and you're not going to find the values or the prices and the proms and the cash flow that I did back when I first started, So, but with this knowledge that I have, and I now teach students, you can just go and look at other places that do have cash flow and do have good deals and just learn how to get in. The hardest part is just doing your first deal, getting in. But if you learn the tricks of the trade of learning how to, get in and with very little money to no money, or having the properties, pay for themselves and give you the money to buy the properties, that's great. The way I look at it is real estate don't need you, you need real estate. And real estate can fund you and qualify yourself. There's some properties, like I used to buy quads, and the quad would generate so much income that more than 70% of the income would definitely pay the payment easily. So in reality, the quad qualified for itself. It didn't even need my working money, at the time. So a lot of people don't know a lot of the tricks of the trade that real estate has.